Hi, I'm Paula Caldwell. Welcome to Patchwork Plus in Dayton, Virginia. Thank you for joining me for the Handi Quilter Ruler of the Month Club. This is actually Club 6. Handi Quilter produces a series of 6 rulers twice a year. And so this is Club 6 that would have been in March. We would have been doing it in March, but of course we've been doing other things in March. So thank you for joining me online. It's a little different dynamic. I'm going to miss your faces as well as you're asking me questions and how about this and why did I do that. So feel free to email me and I will leave my email address with you at the end of our time together today. So each month we will introduce a new ruler, get to know that ruler a little bit. They all have wonderful little names. We'll explore some design options, and those you yourself can find on the Handi Quilter website. When you go to their website, go to the menu, click on Shop, and then you'll see Ruler of the Month. And so there is a link to Club 6, both the printouts of the designs and the video tutorials that you yourself can watch as well. After we draw out some of these designs and talk about them and how we're going to use them, then we'll stitch them out and see how it goes. Before we get that far, let me also say that Club 6 is unique in that along with the rulers, Handi Quilter produced a sampler quilt pattern, and when you registered for the class, you received a PDF. So that's an option, not a requirement by any means, but if you'd like to make it, I've got this one stabilized, I've stitched in the ditch, but I haven't done any ruler work yet per se, because I'm going to wait and see, but we'll be using these 6 rulers to quilt this quilt in a very fun and interesting way toward the end. So again, if you have questions about that, just contact us. Before we get into our ruler this month, just want to review, because it has been a little while and perhaps some of you are new to using rulers, some essentials that we need to have in place in order to do ruler work. So the first thing you're going to need is a ruler foot. Now this one in particular is for the long arm, but it's the same idea even on your domestic machine. The difference is the profile of the foot is 1/4 inch tall, and that's so it will ride right along that 1/4 inch acrylic ruler that we're going to be working with. That is not only a safety feature, it's also a way for you to gain accuracy and be able to reproduce time and time again the design that you're wanting to produce. So for the long arm, for Handi Quilter, it's called a sure foot. For Bernina, it's called the ruler foot, number 72, which we'll be looking at on the machine here in a little bit. The Bernina ruler foot actually has a nut here at the top of the throat or the shank, and you can adjust the height. So if you're working on something that's thick or something that's thin, you've got some flexibility there to control the movement of your fabric under your foot. So that's really, really important. The next thing that is essential is a flat, level, solid working surface. So the table extension that came with your domestic machine is not sufficient. And it has that curved edge, which is nice, but it's not really made for quilting. It can catch the edge of your quilt, it can produce drag, but for ruler work, it's not sufficient at all, because we need that surface to put that ruler down flat. So you need a flat surface. Perhaps you've got your machine embedded in your table, or you can purchase a Sew Steady table. We have them here at the Patch, and we're going to look at one here on the 790 this morning. And that gives you that nice surface that you can feel secure on and be able to move all 3 things, because when on a sit down, you're moving the ruler and the fabric and your hands all at the same time. And then the other thing, of course, and we're going to be looking at these more today, are rulers. So these are different from the rulers that you use to rotary cut your patterns and to measure. These are a 1/4 inch thick, and again, it's so that 1/4 inch foot can just hug and move around the side. So there's no chance that the ruler's going to slip under or jump on top. It's going to hug that surface really nicely. So again, the 1/4 inch acrylic rulers, again for safety as well as for accuracy on your design stitch. I will tell you that from personal experience, because they're acrylic, if they hit a floor that's fairly hard, they're going to crack. They're going to break. So just keep that in mind as you use them. Some options that you might like, especially for domestic machines, because there's more going on maybe a little bit. Handy grip for both the long arm and the domestic is helpful. And so this is a grippy surface, and you don't need much, that goes on the back side of your ruler. It's going to hug the fabric so that you can move it again as one unit. You get quite a bit in one pack, and we have this here at the patch as well. Another option to use for, and I'm talking about domestic machines now, are sweet spots. I've not really used them, so I can't speak to them. I have seen them demoed by Handi Quilter, and Kelly Ashton, whom I saw demo, she did a great job with them. For me, just mentally, it creates one more layer. So I've got the fabric, the ruler, and now something on top of the ruler. So I'm not sure. I haven't played with those, but you might want to try those as well. Another thing that will help you on your domestic ruler work, domestic machine, your surface, this surface slides fairly well, the Sew Steady, but to improve that, if you'd like, the Supreme slider is well worth the investment. And it has a very slick surface on one side that you put your textile on, and then underneath is some sort of, it's not adhesive because it comes right off, and you can wash it and clean it and keep it clean. But that also is helpful for, again, moving, not only moving with ease, but so you can move with consistency, and it's not going to stick and jerk and that type of thing. So another good investment. Here's where I usually say, any questions? But hopefully I've covered things. With this domestic machine, you're going to think about, too, your setup. And so this morning we're using the Bernina 790. And so I've got the feed dogs down, and I've got the needle in the center position, and that's really important. And I just thought I forgot to change the throat plate. If you have the optional straight stitch plate, that's always helpful when you're doing quilting of any kind, because it has the single hole and the fabric then stays down, it doesn't come up at all. So that would be something to change here, but it's okay. I've already practiced with it this morning. We talked about other things. So this morning I'll be using machine gears as a way to grip the fabric and to move it while holding on to the ruler. And when you're doing that, we'll talk about it as we do it. You're going to need a light but firm pressure on that. Again, just to hold it as one unit. If we press too hard, then we are creating drag. And again, our stitches won't be even and our design won't be uniform. So that comes with practice. Ooh, there's that word. Practice, practice, practice. If your machine has speed control, I would suggest, if you're new to rulers, that perhaps you start like halfway or even a little bit less than halfway, just to get that sense of movement and how things are working. And typically, ruler work is not fast work anyway. I don't know that I ever run it wide open when I'm using a ruler. again, it's going to be about precision and being able to reproduce what you're trying to design. Lastly, but importantly, your thread and your needle need to match. If your needle is too large or too small for the size weight thread that you're using, you're going to get loopy threads or knots on the bottom. Your tension's going to be off. It's going to be frustrating. And ruler work requires enough of us without creating more frustrations. So just double check that your thread weight and your needle are matching, that they really look good. The long arm, we'll be working on the Amara, and we'll look at that. And so here we don't have a sew steady table, but what we have is a ruler base. And again, important for having a surface on which to press the ruler. So in this case, we're holding the ruler still and the machine is moving around the ruler. So again, if we press too hard on the ruler, we're going to create drag, and it's going to keep the machine from moving easily and freely. And again, you see the sure foot here with the 1/4 inch profile, and it also has the little indentations around, so you kind of can see where you're lining up when you're stitching. And that's important. All of the rulers have markings so that we again can use those markings to reproduce the design that we want to. I've got the Amara in precision mode, so it's going to be stitching when I move the machine and stop when I don't move the machine. There are different theories about that, but that's what we're going to be doing today. And then again, the proper needle with the proper thread weight. So hopefully we've covered what we need to in order this morning to look at our first ruler, which is HQ Curvy, which I'm feeling a little bit that way, having been in for 7 months now. So anyway, we're going to look at Curvy, and he's going to become a good friend of yours. I'm sure of it.